Good morning. I would like to call this February 21st, 2018 meeting of the Planning and Advisory Commission to order. If you'll please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And I would like to please ask if you have your cell phone to silence it or turn it off while you're in here with us today. I want to remind those in the audience and those watching on television that this is the first hearing of any rezoning, text change, or special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by the planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about the request. The commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case, and once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation, and if a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with 2 independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the clerk of council that they are requesting to be placed on the city council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting, which is called a first reading, and this council will consider the case, review PAC and planning department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second public meeting, which is also called the second reading. Commissioners, you were given minutes earlier in the week. I'd like to ask if there's any changes or additions that need to be made to the minutes, and if we don't have any, we will submit as accepted. Anybody changes anything? No? All right, well, we will submit those as accepted. Thank you. And that will actually bring us to our first and actually only case this morning. This is EXCP-01-18-0136. And this is a request to rezone 1.2 acres of land located at 1230 and 1238 Fort Benning Road. The current zoning is GC, which is general commercial, and the proposed use is a used auto sales. Used auto sales under 2.0 acres requires a special exception. Linton Porter is the applicant, and the property is located in Council District 3, Huff. Mr. Renfro, if you'll read the staff report for us.
Yes, ma'am. This is for EXCP-01-18-0136, special exception use request to allow for auto truck sales, new and used, in excess of 1/2 acre but less than 2 acres located at 1230 and 1238 Fort Benning Road, Columbus, Georgia, 31903. Access is or will the type of street providing access to the use be adequate to serve the proposed special exception use? Fort Benning Road is a minor arterial road. It will provide adequate free flow movement. This will be the primary use for 1230 and 1238 Fort Benning Road. Traffic and pedestrian safety is or will access into and out of the property be adequate to provide for traffic and pedestrian safety. The anticipated volume of the traffic flow and access by emergency vehicles. Access into and out of the property in question will provide for adequate traffic and pedestrian safety and emergency access. Adequacy of public facilities. Are or will public facilities such as schools, water or sewer utilities, and police and fire protection be adequate to serve the special exception use? Services such as water, sewer, utilities, police, and fire protection are adequate. Protection from adverse effects. Are or will refuse service, parking, and loading areas on the property be located or screened to protect other properties in the area from such adverse effects as noise, light, glare, and odor. The properties are surrounded by other GC uses. Parking, service, and refuse should be adequate and provided as stated within the UDO. Noise, light, glare, and odor should be limited due to the nature of the location. Hours of operation. Will the hours and manner of operation of the special exception use have no adverse effects on properties in this area? The hours of operation for this use will not have an adverse impact on the neighborhood properties in this area. Compatibility, will the height, size, or location of the building or the other structures on the property be compatible with the height, size, character, or location buildings on other structures on neighboring properties? The structure, height, size, and location should match the uses found in other GC general commercial properties. The council district is 3 Huff. 13 property owners within 300 feet of the property have been notified by mail of the proposed special exception use. The planning department received 1 comment opposing the request, and no additional information.
Any additional information as to what they were opposing?
They were opposing that the auto sales would not meet the current feel of the neighborhood, as well as they were concerned of the way that it was going to look and possibility of it becoming a junkyard.
Gotcha. Okay. Mr. Dudley?
I've got sort of a comment and sort of a question. You say that the properties are surrounded by other GC uses. That's to the left and right of the properties are GC uses, but then across the street, there's a recreational area that's part of a housing development.
Right.
And so I wonder if that would influence any of your other comments with the, because it's not just GC that are near it or that might be affected.
I know during this process, I have been contacted by the person that lives across the street from that, and they're actually in the process of zoning that GC as well. They're trying to make that whole area a business center.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Reese?
Question for you. What's the precedent for car lots? Historically, how have we given all of them special exception within a GC area, or what will be the normalized process for a car lot for zoning purposes?
Normally, car lots would have to be over 2 acres. In this case, it's below 2 acres, so it does require special exception.
So generally, GC zoning
Right.
over 2 acres would work for a car lot without
Correct.
coming before us?
Correct.
Okay, so the real issue here is the acreage is less than what would normally be required?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
clarification. Any other questions from the commissioners? If the applicant will please come forward and state your name and address for us, and just give us any other information we may need. Okay.
Hello, my name is Linton Porter. My address is 5629 Lexington Drive. I currently own that property. The issue is in the state of Georgia, if you sell 1 car with the intent for profit, you are committing a crime. I have a lot that is 1.2 acres. I brought pictures. Right now, I currently have a car wash. I'm not Ford, I'm not GM, I'm not even Kia or Daewoo. I simply would like to sell a couple of cars a month to increase my business. Right now, I'm currently a psychiatric nurse. This property is fully paid for. I paid for that property being thrown into walls, having my face bit in by AIDS patients, and being bit by meth addicts. I just would like to sell cars on my property. I don't want to have 50 cars. If you look at the diagram that I drew, it's set up to have less than 15 cars. I have adequate space. I have 1.2 acres. I have plenty of area to have about 15 cars, so I can sell about 4 or 5 cars a month. Because I detail cars, a lot of times people want to sell me the car after I detail. If I could buy it, clean it up, do a little mechanic work to it and sell it. I'm not trying to have cars up and down the street. If you see the property, it is fenced off, all of it. I have cameras. I have a painted building as my office. I mean, it's a pretty decent property. I mean, I put a lot of money into this. I'm not trying to be GM, Kia, or Daewoo. I'm not trying to bring down anyone's property value. I'm trying to be able to employ people. I'm trying to bring money into the community with tax money. I do not believe I'm asking for anything exceptional. If I have to go out and work another couple of years to get 2 acres to sell cars, I'll go work another couple of years to sell cars. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant?
You guys like to see the pictures?
Well, can we put it up on the projector? Somebody want to help him? Yeah, we'll get these pictures put up so that both the commissioners and the public can take a look at it. So I don't see any questions from the commissioners. While we're doing this, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak against this? And if so, would you please come forward? I don't see anybody.
I have one question.
Sure,
for this
Mr. Reese.
gentleman. Mr. Porter,
Yes, sir.
do you have security on site right now?
No, sir.
Do you plan on providing security once your car
If I have
lot
to
is
do security, I will sleep
I'm
down
not
there in
saying
that
it's a
building. I will do
requirement.
security myself.
Yeah.
But it's all gated.
Okay.
I have cameras. I have what's that, 6 foot of wrought iron across the front, and I have 7+ feet of gate all around the back because the property is, you see the wrought iron, and I have the wire all along the side, so everything is gated.
Okay, and that included that building over to the right?
Yes, sir, I own that building also.
Okay. All right, thank you.
So I've asked if there was anyone who wanted to speak against, and no one came forward. Any to say against? Anyone who wants to speak in favor of the request, if you would like to come forward? So we have no one. Mr. Wallace?
How far is that from the Spencer building, the new school?
I think it's about 1,000 yards, sir. 1,000.
It's on the same side?
Yes, sir, same side.
You know, in that area, it's a lot of businesses look like were there, but they're no longer there. I know where your place is, but what are the chances of this becoming a worse ISO than we already have?
No
right now?
chance, sir, because I had to pay for this out of my own money. There's no way I'm going to let this property go down.
Baker Plaza Drive, that's
I put up the gate, I painted the building, I put up everything down there. I put additional light, I had power, I have an office. Hopefully, I'll be able to repave that little area over there. I cut the grass about every 2 weeks. That property will not be an eyesore.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners? Mr. Johnson?
Just for the record, we are in the process of a streetscape project down Fort Benning Road.
Yeah.
So,
That'd
and I
be
have
nice for
multi-use
everybody.
trail and all that, and he's probably already been contacted by Felton Grant or somebody, but that will be in place as well.
That's nice to know. Good information.
Mr. Johnson, one quick question before you go, and maybe I missed this in the report. If I did, I apologize, but are there any concerns from our professional staff in regards to this request that's being made today?
No, the way a special exception works is it's because of certain situations, we have to look at it a little bit closer. And typically, if you meet all of the criteria, then we're satisfied that you've met what we need you to meet. And so far, he's done all that.
Excellent. Thank you for that report.
Any other questions or comments? Do I hear a motion? Mr. Reese?
As it relates to special exception 01180136, 1.2 acres on land located at 1238 Fort Benning Road, currently zoned general commercial, proposed usage, auto sale, used auto sale, with the special exception that is required because of the 2-acre requirement. I move that we approve the special exception.
Do I hear, and we have a second. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. It is unanimous, so this will go forward as a recommendation for approval. We thank you for your time.
All right. I'd like to thank all of you. Have a blessed day.
And actually, I see no other new business or old business, anything else we need to, Mr. Reese?
Madam Chair, I have it on good authority that we may need to approve their minutes, so I want to move that we approve the minutes.
Okay. Do I hear a second? Second. All right, all those in favor for approving the minutes, raise your right hand. And all those opposed? Are you voting to approve the minutes?
I had trouble seeing them.
Oh, gotcha, okay, all right. We'll submit those as approved. Thank you. All right, we are adjourned.